Good morning, nature friends. We're here at Govan Lake this morning. Look how beautiful this place is. For our last camping trip of the year. It's a bit windy this morning. I hope that doesn't come across on the microphone too much, but I thought I would take you for a little walk and we can have a look around. See what we see. There's some really neat stuff at this place that we don't have back home because it's a little bit farther north. We're up on the Canadian Shield here, which is a granite bedrock that changes the species composition to a lot more northerly things, but they're still quite... Did you hear the loon? He's been calling this morning, or it might be she. Seems to be a mom and a youngster out there on the water, or a father and a youngster, one adult anyway. I don't know where the other one of the pair is. Usually the two parents will stay together with the youngsters for a while. Yeah, so the species composition here is a lot more northern, but still has some southern species mixed in with it. And there's a lot of familiar stuff here, as well as the unusual for the region. So it's kind of fun to explore. You see some familiar stuff and some newer stuff. We've got our flat top white aster growing here at the edge of this campsite clearing. Some beautiful oak. Oak is a very common species in the forest up here, much more than it is. We have oak around our home a little further south, but the red oak is quite common on the Canadian Shield. Chip, come on. Another common thing that we're seeing a lot of, this is also common back home, but is the sumac here. This is staghorn sumac because I don't know if you'll be able to see it, maybe backlit, maybe not. The stems of it, oh, this one's a little backlit. The stems of it are fuzzy, and so it resembles, to some people, the velvet that covers fresh antlers on male white-tailed deer. So it's named after that. Here's a pretty little clearing. These are the power lines that run right through here, but it creates this cool little clearing area in an otherwise forested landscape. It's got a lot of clearing species in it. We've got our goldenrods here, gone to seed. This one might be tall goldenrod, just based on the size of it, the shape. Tall goldenrod and Canada goldenrod I have trouble telling apart. I'll need to learn those. This brambly thing here, this is in the raspberry family. You can tell by the shape of the leaves and cluster, the organization of the leaves. Plus it's got the same thorny stems. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Ooh, I just pricked myself. Speaking of thorny stems. You see those maybe? I don't know. Thorny stems that a lot of blackberry brambles have. This one is purple flowering raspberry. Obviously not flowering right now, and it's also done making berries. It's one of my favorite raspberries, so there's just beautiful flowers. I'll put some there. Beautiful flowers. There's been a lot of birds moving through this morning. All of this area is quiet right at the moment. Been a lot of kinglets. Golden crowned kinglets have been the one I've been hearing this morning mostly. Chip, come on. Good boy. Which are these adorable little, they're tiny. They're like head to tail this big. Super tiny. They're our second smallest bird after hummingbirds. And they actually spend the winter in maybe don't know if they spend it at this latitude necessarily, but certainly where we live, a little bit farther south from here in eastern Ontario, they can spend the winter, which is just astounding to me, because the resilience of birds that small to get through our winter temperatures. And they have a lot of tactics for doing that, including huddling up overnight in groups in cavities, old woodpecker cavities. And they lower their body temperatures so that they're not expending quite so much on keeping themselves warm, which conserves energy, makes it easier to get through those long nights. We've got a whole patch of sweet fern here. This is the stuff that smells, oh, it just smells so good. I don't know how you would bottle that and bring it home, fragrance your home with it. Would bringing home some sprigs work, I wonder? Just beautiful. Here's the wood aster, almost done blooming. Common blue wood aster, aka heartleaf aster. Oh, and here's spring peeper calling. They've been very vocal this camping trip. I've heard quite a few of them. There's a chipmunk. Can you hear the chipmunk? That's their alarm call, so he's probably seeing and maybe me as well, I don't know. And they usually sit up on a rock and with their feet up, and they'll make that sound. I'm not sure what purpose it actually is. I guess warning the other chipmunks in the area that there's a predator nearby. I don't know. The woods up here are just beautiful. I just love these woods. Chip, come on. Come on. Good boy. There's a lot of, in addition to the oak, the other common one here is sugar maple. These are the ones that maple syrup comes from, although you can make maple syrup from most of the maple species, and also birch apparently makes good syrup. But this is the one commonly used for commercial syrups, and it's quite abundant up here. It's all just starting to turn, but it's not very, the turning this year, sometimes they can go really red or orange. This year it looks like they're starting to go yellowish, but also brown at the same time. Like they're skipping over a lot of the color stage. Last year we came up here for our last camping trip in October, start of October, and it was absolutely gorgeous. Yellows and oranges through here. And it's not quite the same this year. It's much more muted. This orange one here is high bush cranberry, which is a species of viburnum. Has very maple-ish looking leaves. It's got a shadow on it. And makes beautiful white flowers in the spring and red berries in the fall. That one's not got any berries. Come on, out of the marsh, please. Thank you. Oh. The Joe Pye weed along the trail. This is a little marshy area here. This is spotted Joe Pye weed. It's all gone to seed now. Fluffy seeds that drift off in the wind. Look at this dude. I'm gonna have to clean you when we get back. Or maybe I'll make him swim in the lake. He's hunting for frogs. It's his favorite pastime. I'm not sure he's ever caught one, but he likes to chase them. I would rescue the frog if he actually got one. All the white pines along here. This is something that some people don't know. The white pines are all turning brown in spots. And evergreens do actually drop some of their leaves. The needles, of course, are their version of leaves. Every year in the fall, the innermost needles will start to turn brown and fall off, and the growth comes from the outer end of the twigs, the outer end of the branches. But the needles themselves, they're not, despite being called evergreen, and the needles lasting all through the winter, they actually only last about a year to 18 months, depending on the species of tree. I'm not sure what it is for white pine, but they do eventually drop off and renew them, replace them with the new growth. So the brown is not necessarily a sign of ill health in evergreens. It's just them doing their natural leaf drop every year around this time in the fall. Okay, Chip, we're carrying on. Come on, this way. Come on. Here he goes. Oh, he's gonna be filthy. These beautiful big patches of green leaves here. This is large-leafed aster, which will get, I often don't see them not blooming, but when they do bloom, they get spikes like this of sort of bluish, whitish blue flowers. Oh, this is a spring ephemeral. It's just turning yellow here, which is kind of cool. This is wild sarsaparilla. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And it gets, they're obviously gone by this time of year, but underneath here it gets two little balls of flowers, round spheres of flowers underneath the leaves. Apparently the root tastes a little like licorice. Well, I've never tried digging it up to eat it. Obviously that kills the plant, and I enjoy the plants more than my curiosity has taken over. Oh, here's some flowers of large-leafed aster. This one's blooming. Right here. This seems like a short one. Hear blue jays calling off in the distance. Forest has gotten pretty quiet. I do hear some myrtles, yellow-rumped warblers off in the distance. None too nearby though. So nice to be out in the quiet woods. One of the things I like about camping up this way, is that there's just no people noises, except for what you make yourself. And occasionally other campers who come through, but it's a weekday right now in the fall, way past peak season for camping, and we're the only ones up here today, as far as I can tell anyway. And quiet. Who's this guy? I'm just admiring some of the other trees. I think this is hop hornbeam, which goes by many names. I'm trying to see which tree it connects to here. It's also known as ironwood because the logs are quite tough. Yeah, this is hop hornbeam. I can't get to that trunk. But there's one over here I'll show you. They have a very distinctive bark type on them. Is this him? Yes, this is him. Here, this little guy here, where they have these sort of rectangular strips that peel off and create this peeling texture here. See quite a few of them just right here, actually. A little grove of them, maybe. They were one of the first trees that I learned to identify outside of the standards of maple and oak and whatever, so I have a bit of a soft spot for them. There's that blue jay again. There have been a ton of acorns on the trees this year. So many, which are a favorite of blue jays in the fall. They will gather up the acorns and store them in caches places. And often blue jays can be migratory. They'll, come on, Chip. Chip. Good boy. The blue jays will decide whether or not to leave their breeding territories depending on how much food is around for the winter. So in years of good crops, seed crops, they're called mast seeds. Things like acorns or hickory nuts and stuff like that. In years of good seed production, they'll stay put. And in years where the crop is not very good, then they'll move south, or they'll move to other areas to try to find better seeds, better seed crops. Whew, that little hill winded me a bit. Didn't seem that big when I was climbing it up it. Yeah, so there's been really good acorns this year. So I imagine that the blue jays are all sticking around and stocking up. Oh, we got a little red berry here. Excuse me, Chip. No, back up, back up. Yes, I'm trying to show something. No, okay. Yeah, it's not the Chip show. You're all wet. Come on, out, thank you. Oh my goodness. Over here, is this, ooh, where is it? Here it is. I had trouble finding it. It was a little red berry. This is wintergreen, which has, speaking of, as I mentioned the sweet fern before, the leaves on this stuff, ooh, I just dropped it. And when you crush them, they have that stereotypical wintergreen scent that you often get in bubblegum or toothpaste flavors. It's probably my favorite mint scent. I associate it with, for those of you who are older and might remember this, Bazooka Joe bubblegum from back in the day was wintergreen flavored. Just really strong memories of that gum whenever I smell that. Oh, here's a cool one. I really like this. So this is a type of maple. This is called striped maple. Although this one's too young to show the stripes, but they get stripes on their trunks, on the bark. That gives them their common name. It's also sometimes called moosewood, I think because, moose eat a lot of different vegetations, from tree branches like this to aquatic plants in the lakes and wetlands and stuff. But I gather that there's some association with that plant or that tree and moose as a food source. Just kind of funny that they've gotten that name. Here's some red oak. These ones can turn quite vibrant red in the fall, but these ones also look like they're just maybe going yellowish and then brown. Here's another one. Just kind of off color this year. Well, I should probably be turning around and heading back to the campsite. My family will start to wonder where I've gotten to. Although they're out in the canoe again, so I've got some time before they return. I can hear a few more birds through here. Chickadees, nuthatch, white-breasted nuthatch. There's a chipmunk going over there. The yellow-rumped warblers over this way. Nothing new, though. All right, well, we'll leave it there. I hope you had a good time coming along with me here, and get out in the meantime, do your own exploring, see what you can find. If you come across anything really cool, leave me a comment to tell me about it, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.